Hi guys, I'm joined by Stanley, who is co-founder and CTO of Ankr. Today we're going to be talking about cross-chain, multi-chain, interoperability, bridges, etc. And we're with the man, the genius behind the tech himself, Stanley. So again, thank you for taking the time for this call.
Thank you, Manny. Good to see you guys again. And today I would like to introduce what Ankr has done and has achieved or even invent for the cross-chain and the interoperability for the multi-chain communications.
So let's start off with the first question to kind of really establish the base here. Cross-chain, multi-chain, interoperability, bridges. Could you kind of walk us through what each of these terms kind of mean and how they kind of relate to each other in that sense?
Okay, I can start with the cross-chain and interoperabilities. These two terms usually can be used interchangeably. So basically, you refer one terms, it actually mean the other term as well. So basically, what does that mean? It means you are able to have transactions or have operations on one chain, and that will affect the other chains. So there are a couple of ways already in the space to implement this link or communications. Like you can set up something in the middle and listen to event on one side and submit the transaction to the other side. Or you can have one kind of the node like Chainlink does, and also Ankr do the same way, is that you can set up a special node, connect to the RPC on both sides, and also listen to the event and submit a proof to the other chains through the smart contract, which can be verified by the smart contract on the other side. That's majorly for the cross-chain communications. For multi-chain, that usually means the multiple chains need to be work together to serve the same applications. Like one of the example we have encountered in the past, which I think is a multi-chain. It's not necessarily cross-chain, but it's multi-chain. Is that there's a applications trying to build and serve the customer globally. So one way they do is that one blockchains is or one the app chains is serve the users on its own continent. So for example, Africa has its own chains, North America has its own chains. So basically between you switch to different region or servers, just like the game concept, right? You switch to the server, you are trying to connect to the different chains, but it's multi-chain, but it's not necessarily cross-chains. The last but not least, the bridge. Usually, this term referring to the assets management and assets transfer. Usually, like for the Polygon, you have Matic tokens as the native token on Polygon. And also you will have a ERC20 presence on the Ethereum. So you will want to have some way to transfer your assets from Ethereum to Polygon and also vice versa. And that's usually the effort. That usually is the use case for the bridge. And also right now in the space, there's a lot of bridge service. And it's not hard to find it on Google. But generally speaking, multi-chain or interoperability should be served as the foundation of the bridge, in my opinion. And multi-chain itself is just the way to design applications. But generally speaking, I think this is the major difference of them.
In that sense, seeing that a lot of chains are really kind of promoting, there's a lot of buzz in terms of interoperability. In your opinion, why is it so important?
The reason why interoperability is so important is because right now, multi-chain is very, very important. So we can see the mainstream blockchains start to shifting from one-chain structure to multi-chain structures. That is due to the reality of the trend in this space. So I think more and more, no one can deny more and more applications, more and more developers and the company trying to onboard with the blockchain or Web3 solutions for their application. However, it's just technically not possible to serve every single piece of the applications or software on Ethereum, right? Or on one chain structures. Otherwise, there's no such opportunity existing in the space. Because of that technical limitations, so different different companies or different teams or different application trying to find out a stable way to run their application in the in the long term. So one of the directions or one of the solutions is definitely to have your own dedicated blockchain and only serve your own purpose. However, this blockchain will serve the business logic, but it still need to, communicate with the other blockchain for the external dependency. So for example, they want to have the liquidity needs on the mainstream L1 like Binance Smart Chains. On one side, you want to run your daily work or daily transaction on the one chain. And on the other side, you want the assets can be transferred to another chain for the swap, for the liquidity, right? And that both needs need to be satisfied. And also, it is possible one chain can serve as a service. So if a company or user want to get that service, they probably will transfer assets to that chain or have a cross-chain communication with that chain to get service. So that's all we can see within this space is coming for this kind of business. So that's why the interoperability is so important, because it can make all this assumption or all this technology bridge together to form a much larger scales of the community or ecosystems. So right now we can see a lot of companies have involved within this technology or within this business, but most of them I was still is focusing on the bridge, like assets transferring. Ankr would like to provide bridge, of course, but also Ankr would like to be also be very fundamental solutions for the cross-chain communications. So we have something called Relay Hub. Basically, this is the technology, bridge the both chains or even three chains and listen to certain type of predefined communication and submit the proof to the other chain, and also can be verified within the smart contract to make sure this proof can be reliably used as the input for next step. Yes, so I think this is just in summary, I think this is a trend, and people are start to realize it and start to move forward with the technology.
Speaking about bridges specifically, what are some of the benefits and maybe even some of the limitations that you kind of see with bridges? Like, as somebody who's also like seen that or trying to implement that specifically with Ankr, right? Like, knowing those limitations are definitely something that I'm really curious about too.
I think in general, bridge is a concept of very easy to understand. I think if we have to say the limitation, I think the security definitely is the most important things for the bridge, because if there's a bug in the bridge, you kind of print or mint more tokens on both chain, like mistakenly enlarge the circulation. That's definitely not what we want to see. And also another besides the security, I think another limitation is that right now the bridge is not just to bridge two chains. It's possibly to bridge 2 or 3 sub chains and make sure them working together. So like if one application can be exist on Binance sidechains, it can be also serving Polygon Edge and also subnet. So that means the bridge can bridge all these 3 chains together, or maybe also even to bridge to one of the mainstream L1 like Binance Smart Chains. So I think the design of the product or design of the application in the first place need to be very clear about the use case. So because bridge is a very sensitive in terms of the assets, so we as a companies involved with the bridge, if we have a customer come to Ankr says, okay, we want to have a bridge, definitely we would like to talk with the use case as early possible to make sure we can considering the bridge design before we start to deliver the code. But generally speaking, I think 2 things: the security and also the definition of the use case is very important for bridge.
it's probably fair to say that bridges are definitely still important and are still needed today.
It's still needed today, and it's still needed today for the liquidity purpose, and still need today for to enlarge the ecosystem and the user size. That's the major benefit to have the bridge.
Apart from decentralized exchanges, what are some more common use cases, or even some edge use cases for bridges that you've seen?
Basically, we see in general three types of the use case. The first use case definitely is the financial companies, including the exchange, right? So basically, you want to have bridge to bridge assets to the chain for liquidities, and also possibly to leverage different DEX and be able to list on the DEX as much as possible to maximize your liquidities across multi-chains or across multi DEX. The second one is the gaming. As I has mentioned before, usually the gaming don't want to live on the L1 directly because they can expect the large amount of the user, and they do not want their operational work depend on how crowded this blockchain is, which is out of their controls. So most of the time they want to run their own chains. However, they also want their tokens can exist on different chains to join like NFT tradings or this kind of a business. So gaming is another use case. The third use case is more or less like the service. There are companies to build application chains and just trying to provide one kind of the service on its own chains. And they would like to have the bridge to reach out to other customers on other chains, says, okay, use these tokens. You can come to our chain by a one-click bridge service and start to use our service. But generally speaking, you can say gaming is special kind of the service, but I would say the three major use case is the major use case we have seen so far.
So shifting towards multi-chain, we've heard Vitalik's kind of say, and I'm paraphrasing, where multi-chain is the future. Why do you think that he's bullish on this? Like, why is multi-chain so important?
Majorly because right now the blockchain space or blockchain ecosystems is more and more focused on soft landing onto the real applications. So if we're talking about the real applications, basically you're talking about the TPS, right? You're talking about the latencies, and you're talking about your architecture design, all things like that. A analogy I always give out, like if you're using MySQL database, you do not save all your data into one MySQL tables. You want to segregate them out and use, the database techniques and trying to, to design database in multi-chain into the multi-table, and also optimize according to each table. But the table itself is like the technology 10 years ago. Right now, there's all fancy database structure came out. For multi-chains, it's kind of similar situations. So as I mentioned before, you are not able to run every application onto Ethereum. So that's why we have different chain come out for different purpose, and each chain have its own, have its own characteristic, I would say, or strengths. Like Solana is focusing on speed, and also for Binance Smart Chains is focusing on the tradings, and also Binance Smart Chain trying to focus on the multi-chain structure, like trying to expand to the multi-chain structure. So I think this give all the possibility for the developers or for the app company when they want to build the Web3 solutions. They can have choice on which chain they want to live on, and also to structure the application says, okay, what if my application can be divided into 2 or 3 different kind of components? Maybe I can deploy on 2 or 3 different chains and make them, communicate each other to serve together to the users, and also make sure each component can be operational on its own. So that way also can increase, the stability if one chain become, crowded or congested, all things like that. So that is I can see more and more coming within the space when we talk to our clients, partners, and also developers in the space. These are all good questions, and also there are good questions come from them, but they need a solutions. They need to have a solution to increase the stability and also increase the capacity. So multi-chain definitely in the direction of more decentralized, and also in the direction of more capacity, and also I probably have to mention layer 2. I think layer 2 in the next couple of months will have a awesome solutions came out. I probably don't want to mention the name right at this time. It's still too early to have that kind of judgment. But multi-chain is not necessarily means only layer 1. You can think about the layer 2 as a piece of the multi-chain, although they depend on L1. But the collaborations between L1 and the collaboration between L1 and L2 is definitely, in summary, is the future is coming, and also can empower a lot of real application using Web3 technology.
So speaking about solutions then now, and shifting that focus, and how Ankr has specifically Appchains, how does Appchains kind of solve interoperability, and how does it differ from Polygon Edge or Binance Smart Chain, or for that matter, subnets?
In short, there's no much difference. So the technology Ankr provide as a relay hub is one special node. It can run it on itself, and also configure to connect to the RPC or WebSocket on the both chain, and start to processing the new block, new transaction, or new type of the events based on your configuration, and start to submit proof on both sides. The major difference is that if there is difference, is that for Binance Chain's Ankr, because Ankr directly involved with the development, it's more chance for us to change the system contract or bake certain cross-chain communication or smart contract functions into the system contract, which we do not have for Polygon Edge or for Avalanche subnet. So I think that's the only major difference. But the idea and the concept is very, very similar. It's only to the level of the degrees how you can bake into the system code itself. At this time, Ankr have a little bit advantage on Binance sidechains. But although it's not that much.
So speaking a little bit more about Appchains, what do you see as like the benefits in terms of bridges or multi-chain with Appchains in that sense? Like things that you essentially some customers can kind of take advantage of kind of out of the box when it comes to Appchains.
Yeah, Appchain is a product provided by Ankr. So I was says, all we talking about the bridge, multi-chain, interoperability, and also bridge and also cross chains. That's all on the technical side. Eventually, you want to put that into the code, put that into the service, right? Appchain is the service Ankr provide. It using all the cool technology I has mentioned, and using the code Ankr has built. Basically, we trying to offer that as a managed service. So Appchain is the service to leverage most, I would say almost the most of the Ankr's product, like the RPC, like hosting validators, like the gaming SDK if you guys use as a gaming company, and also the Explorer, and also NFT marketplace, white label NFT marketplace, all things like that, yada yada. So I will says, if we mention the benefit, or we talk about benefit here, it basically is the service provided by Ankr, and a fully hosted and managed service provided by Ankr. So usually the user who use Appchain can be worry free, and just talk with Ankr about deal and the launching date and what the business achievement that they want to do, and the Ankr provide the best effort to make sure this technology can be delivered. But again, under the hood, all this cool concept within the cross-chain, it's implemented by Ankr.
So do you think that developers should look at building their own cool bridges in that sense, or that with that cool technology that you mentioned?
Yes and no, I will say. So as developer, myself, I always would like to see other developer to figure out something cool within the space. So that's definitely I want to encourage everyone who understand the blockchain, understand the consensus, understand how does it work, the Web3 technology, start to to do their own work to contribute to the open source community. However, I have to say for the cross-chain communication and for the bridge, the easy solutions, things like you listen to events on the one side and based on that submit a transaction on the other side, this kind of patterns is not sexy anymore within the space. So unfortunately that they are already like a winner or winning companies or solutions already. So if a developer or company want to figure out something more innovative, it must to be into the low level of the blockchains. Yes, and also trying to understand the consensus itself, and trying to use cryptographic algorithm to figure out things like I don't know. I cannot say too much to the technology I have not seen yet. But generally speaking, like for our Ankr side, what we do is we trying to provide the proof can be verified on the smart contract itself. So the smart contract can say, okay, if I see that, I am pretty sure there is an event happen on the other side or transaction happen on the other side. It's more or less like the transaction oracle, which Ankr trying to implement and trying to deliver. So if I can add one more thing, definitely I would encourage everybody to start to research or take a look on the layer 2 or zero knowledge proof. That technology is very suitable for cross-chain communications or even L1 to L2, communications. So yeah, that's how I want to comment. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Stanley, for taking the time today and talking about specifically just cross-chain, multi-chain interoperability in general. Hopefully we have more of these sessions.